episode 3 time. All right, so today we're going to talk about something that you may not think is related to science. Well, related to humor. Sorry, whoa, jumbling words. We're talking about science today. Scientific evidence about humor styles and how they affect your social capabilities. So there was a study done at the University of Western Ontario by Jeremy Yip, Rod Martin. These guys looked at senses of humor and how they were related to emotional intelligence and social competence factors. And so they measured the way people were able to associate with people and their preferred humor style. So the big findings from this research: the ability to accurately perceive emotions was negatively related to aggressive and self-defeating humor. And I have 3 more, and then I'll come back and go through each of them individually in more detail and how we can use them, and look forward to the exercise as well. So positive humor styles and cheerfulness positively correlated with some aspects of social competence. Emotional management was positively correlated with cheerfulness and self-enhancing humor, and negatively correlated with the trait bad mood. And emotional management was positively correlated with several social competence domains. So what the heck does that mean? I know the answer. I'll tell you in a sec. So to return to the first point, the ability to accurately perceive emotions was negatively related to aggressive and self-defeating humor. So that is a result of the distancing nature that we've talked about a couple times already in this course of aggressive and self-defeating humor. So if I use aggressive humor, so I put a group down, so I'm here on this pedestal or level or whatever it is, and this group that I'm making fun of, I push them because of something they can't control, be it skin color, affinity to a particular food, what have you, a nationality. That is correlated with, it's related to a lesser ability to accurately perceive emotions, as well as self-defeating humor. That does the same thing. So putting myself down, does not allow, or makes it harder for me to connect to other people through emotions. And I think that makes a lot of sense because, if you're on this plane right here, we're both even, right? I can connect with another person much more easily than if I have to jump this theoretical or this unspoken divide that either I have created or this other person has created by putting me down, or I've put myself down, I've put the other person down, however it may have happened. So leveling the playing field is incredibly important because it allows us to, understand, like, I'm not looking up at this person like I'm some lower class citizen and they're some king or queen. We're on the same playing field. We have the same social status. There's nothing holding me back from being me. So a couple other big takeaways from this work. Emotional management was positively correlated with cheerfulness and self-enhancing humor. So as we develop ourselves, developing yourself is not about not having emotions. It's not about not feeling scared. It's not about getting rid of these negative emotions. It's learning about how to manage them, understand them properly. So if we look at cheerfulness, that would make sense. I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and I either understand my emotions, or I kind of manage them pretty well, and I have the ability to make friends, etc., etc. But the self-enhancing humor is very interesting because that style of humor is very supportive, and it allows us to laugh at ourselves for, like, you goof, like, I'm not putting myself down after I've made a mistake. I am understanding, like, that I was a product of my own experiences. At that very moment, I did my very best. You goof, and then you move on and you learn from it and you do it better next time. So the latter part of this point, that emotional management was negatively correlated with the trait bad mood. This goes back to what we were saying earlier in the last episode about how, you're in a bad mood and it kind of affects the way you see things. And you're like, you get pissed off at anybody just because you're pissed off at somebody. So we can use humor not only to get ourselves out of that negative state, like I explained in the last video, but we can use it to perpetuate being in that good state. And this is not always about, it's not about always being in a good mood, but it's about lowering the amount of time that you're spending in a bad mood so that you can be more of yourself and connect more with more people. You'll be more productive. You're not wallowing in your, I didn't get this promotion, or I got a D, I got a whatever, blah, 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 But let's focus on the positives. Like, I got a 90 on my other test, or I did way better than the last time on my test, or, there's another opportunity for a promotion in a month. So I'm going to kick ass for the next month and then we'll get that promotion. So this kind of moves into what we can do with these findings, and because scientific literature is great, they're super fun to read, but it's really about what we take into the real world. And so I was talking about self-enhancing humor, and so there's another kind of positive humor called affiliative humor, and affiliative humor allows us to relate to people on the same level and use a common ground without putting anyone else down and making jokes. So we both love The Office, and we make Office references. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing something goofy, and we say Michael Scott quotes as we do it. Those are examples of affiliative humor and how we can relate to those around us, and really that those actually solidify the connections between people rather than the aggressive or the self-defeating humor that breaks those bonds up. So when we look at initiating relationships, so some of you may be here because you're moving to a different place or you're starting a new job, and so initiating relationships is vital. And so this study, what we can take from it is that affiliative humor, self-enhancing humor, and cheerfulness are the three most important aspects of total interpersonal competence, which is basically your ability to have interpersonal relationships with other people. Yeah, a lot of personal in that sense. Anyways, we can embody these traits and embody these characteristics and then work towards the implementation of them in our life. And this is not like you watch this video and then 10 minutes later you're immediately a more cheerful person and you've got 100 friends and all this yada yada yada. No, this is a little things, like when you go to get your coffee in the morning, or I wake up and I'm talking to my boss, and I'm smiling at my boss while I'm talking, like he's telling me about my day. I may really not care that much, but that's okay. It's okay to not care. You just need to show interest. You care about your boss. You care about your work. You may not care about like how his kid's soccer team did, but you say like, yeah, John, tell me more. And you are connecting with this person, with your boss, because that's really what it's all about, is creating this connection. And I sound like a broken record saying it, but I strongly believe that is the most important piece. And it's one thing that humor allows us to do incredibly well. All right, so let's get into this exercise. So this exercise is a joke transformation, right? So we're going to look at, as we talked about, self-defeating humor. An example of a self-defeating humor joke would be, I could tell my parents hated me. My bath toys were a toaster and a hairdryer. So this puts, like we were saying, this puts you down and distances you from the audience. And the audience is not like you're telling a joke on a stand-up show, but you are just anybody listening to the joke. So what we can do is we can turn it into an associative humor. joke, or change the joke completely and say something that would be associative humor. And you could say something like, "Oh man, you're my favorite person to be socially awkward with, dude." And it's comical, it's just goofy and good-hearted fun because you're on the same level with your audience. You're connecting with the audience. You are understanding, like, hey man, we're weird and we know it. You know what? That's it. And you can do that with yourself too, because you can say like, oh man, look at how goofy I was 5 years ago when I had that mohawk. Like, oh man, that was absurd. And you're laughing at yourself, but you're not laughing at yourself out of malice, as Thomas Hobbes mentions. It is, and Aristotle and Plato. As Plato mentions, it's not a like, dude, screw that guy. Like, I don't like him. It's a kind-hearted, like, oh yeah, how goofy I was, and you learn from it and you move on, and then you're probably not gonna have a mohawk again. So now I want you to examine the last 3 jokes, funny videos, stories you've told to your friends or recounted to your friends. Why did you think they were funny? And I want to know kind of how they fit into those categories that we were talking about. Are they affiliative and connecting, or are they disassociative and distancing? So let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys for episode 4.